Hello and welcome to Time of Death. I'm your host, Ris.
And I'm your host, Dee.
And if you are new here, welcome. We are two nurses that like to talk true crime. We like to focus on cases that have a heavy medical influence to them or cases that feature a medical professional as the perpetrator or victim.
Why did you say host? So weird.
Host?
Host?
I'm your host. If you have any interesting brain accessories or any behavioral health accessories, let Dee know.
It's true. I was looking at the stuffed brains. There was one cute little dopamine one with a hat.
You should get it, Mr. Dopamine.
Mr. Dopamine. I don't have any.
We love him, but he doesn't love us.
And Miss Serotonin.
And
also
Miss Serotonin. That, you should write a kid's book about that.
Oh my God. Take this out of the podcast. So
Trademark. If you say trademark, then no one else
Trademark.
Can take it.
Trademark.
So today we are actually covering a healthcare professional.
Wow. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. We are going to be talking about Niels Hogel.
I heard of this.
Yes, he's a German registered nurse / serial killer. So Niels was born on December 30th, 1976 in Wilhelmshaven in Lower Saxony, which is a German state in northwestern Germany. Niels was the younger of two kids. He had an older sister. His grandmother and his father were both nurses. And his father worked at a hospital in town. His mother was a paralegal. So Niels describes his childhood as being sheltered. He said there was no interpersonal violence in his household growing up. So from what I read and from what he's said, really, he's had a pretty uneventful, unremarkable childhood as far as we know. Niels followed the same footsteps as his father and grandmother, completing his vocational training in 1997 at St. Willehad Hospital before becoming a nurse. There's basically two different places that these crimes took place, so I'm going to go clinic by clinic. The first clinic is the first one he started working at, Oldenburg Clinic. He worked there from 1999 to 2002.
Ooh.
So he started in 1999 in Ward 211, which was the cardiac surgery ICU at the Oldenburg Clinic. He quickly became known as someone who could handle the high pressures of high-stress situations, and he was regarded as a strong nurse. 2 years go by before a meeting was held by medical staff to discuss a noticeable jump in the amount of resuscitations and deaths in the ward over the past few months. In 58 of these instances, Niels was working. Niels got super spooked after the meeting, but coincidentally he called out for 3 weeks. And he said that he was too sick to come in.
What you doing, Niels?
While Niels was out sick, only 2 patients died in his ward. Later on, we find out Niels was terrified that he got caught, which prompted him to call out. So,
just more of a red flag, to be honest.
So, even here at this first position, there were, too many emergencies where Niels was at the center. Niels was always there. And we'll talk more about it later on, but it seemed like a very much adrenaline junkie type thing. I want to be in the middle of it. I want to be the hero. So there's a lot of deaths going on, a lot of resuscitations, and it's in abnormal amounts compared to pre-Niels era.
Well, you know what? The more we hear about this, the more that I'm convinced that there needs to be some kind of accountability for when someone was all these catastrophic unexpected deaths.
Yeah.
I don't know if the hospitals want to incentivize that somehow, hey, less than 10% of your patients have had poor outcomes, here's a bonus.
But, on the other hand, sometimes you just can't help it. Like, we call them black clouds.
Yeah.
They just kind of are a magnet. I feel like I'm a magnet sometimes. Especially, like, when I first started out, I definitely was a black cloud.
Oh.
Knock on wood. I still am somewhat a black cloud whenever the medics come in. They always are like, oh, my God, she's always here with the sick ones. And I'm like, but I think it's also because I'm precepting and we're always in the critical areas. So, I mean, I guess it depends on where you work. But I definitely, when I was first starting out, was a black cloud and everything sick came to me. But you know what? In the end, it makes you a better nurse.
It's trial by fire.
Yeah.
But think about it. That now, like, you've gotten so good and, like, you've always been the best advocate for your patients and, like, on top of things. And, like, there should be some kind of incentive for, like, exceptional nursing.
I agree with you. And I think they have, like, the Daisy Awards, like, that kind of stuff. But I agree.
That's rigged.
There needs to be way more recognition for nurses doing well.
Absolutely. That would help address burnout. That would help address so many different things, like recognition, and put your money where your mouth is. No more pizza bunnies. No more pizza parties.
No more pizza bunnies.
Give them cold, hard cash.
I agree. I like cash. But it also instills, like, a sense of confidence in the nurse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're more satisfied because they're being recognized for how hard they work. But this is totally, obviously unrelated to Niels. Niels just was hungry for excitement. He wanted to be the guy who saved people after sabotaging them. So, of course, he was suspected on some level. His colleagues did have suspicions, but they never raised them up to management because either they feared being reprimanded or because they believed it was none of their business. They said, Germany is a country where privacy is so guarded, it's so sacred to them. Like, we just kept our heads down. However, the head physician pressured the nursing staff to remove him from their ward, and he was transferred to the anesthesiology ward that same year in 2001 in the Oldenburg Clinic.
Like, that's also, like, crappy, too, because just getting rid of him is not the solution, because if you have a suspicion, that means he's going to do the same thing elsewhere.
Exactly, and that's what happened. They just kept passing him off from one area to the next area, saying, not our problem. Go do your own thing over here, out of sight, out of mind. At the anesthesiology ward, it didn't take long before this new ward's head physician also noticed Niels' presence at so many emergent situations and grew suspicious of Niels. In September 2002, the head physician of the hospital approached Niels saying, listen, a ton of your patients and your assignments have been found in emergent situations that seem to not fit their prognosis at all. Ultimately, he was offered a choice. Either you resign or we transfer you to the logistics unit where his major responsibility would be transporting patients.
Then still patient contact.
Yeah. If he chose to resign, he was made aware that he would still be paid for a 3-month period after the fact. He did choose to resign, but he was still in luck. He received a glowing reference from the hospital's director of nursing. She wrote that Niels had a circumspect, diligent, and autonomous work ethic. She described him acting prudently and in an objectively correct manner in critical situations. She acknowledged him for being devoted and having cooperative conduct. She wrote that he fulfilled his role to the utmost satisfaction.
See, this is my problem. There's people who get fired as nurses for the most stupid reasons.
Yeah.
You have someone who's literally out there killing people, and he's getting a glowing reference.
Yep.
That's unbelievable.
Yep.
I think I got you this cup.
No, I got that cup for myself. Oh yeah, you did. You did. I have one too, so they're two set of two.
Doubt me. How dare you? I have the memory of an elephant.
Do elephants have good memory then?
They have excellent memories.
I didn't know that.
No, you're more of a goldfish.
I knew you were going to say goldfish. How did I know?
Because that's typically Exactly.
Because it's how you behaved.
I'm insulting you. Because that's how you behave. This is supposed to be a diss to
If
you.
I knew that you were going to say goldfish, because I remember everything that you ever said to me to culminate in this moment, wouldn't that mean I had a good memory then?
Or you're psychic.
That is true. That is true too. True too. True too. So, Niels. Okay.
How did we get off topic? You always are taking me off topic.
No, you were the one that started talking about the cup. It wasn't me, it was you.
No, you gave me the cup.
I never gave you that cup. You took it and filled it with water. Out of my faucet.
Was it water?
What else would it be?
Maybe I'm lit right now.
You're definitely not. I don't think I have any alcohol in this house.
Young.
The second part of this story occurs at Delmenhorst Clinic from 2002 to 2005. A couple months after Niels was let go, he got a job at the Delmenhorst Clinic. He was really respected and trusted by the staff there initially, but wouldn't you know, emergencies and deaths occurred, oftentimes related to deadly cardiac arrhythmias or hypotension, which is low blood pressure out of the blue in previously stable patients. During his time there, from 2003 to 2005, total patient deaths had doubled with Niels employed there. In 2005, Niels was on duty for 73% of patient deaths. Once 4 empty vials of a medication called giluritamol, or Adrenaline is the other name for it, were found. I don't think we really use it much anymore. Despite no orders on the entire ward for this medication to be administered.
What kind of medicine?
This is an antiarrhythmic agent, so when it's used inappropriately or improperly, or side effects could be ventricular dysrhythmias, heart block, hypotension, shock, cardiac arrest, coma. No action was taken during this incident. They just found 4 empty vials and moved on. It wasn't long before Niels' coworkers began to grow suspicious and started distancing themselves from him. He was nicknamed Resuscitation Rambo by his colleagues because when there was a code, Niels would push people out of the way to take part in the resuscitation.
That's a red flag.
At one point, he wore a necklace with empty resuscitation medication vials as a badge of honor and celebration of his efforts.
I'll tell you this right now. I wish that I would see someone wearing a necklace of all the medication caps because I would just have a field day.
It's just such a bizarre thing to do. Like, that would be the last thing on my mind, is to decorate myself.
Well, I knew people that kept them for like art projects and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like cute, and I'd have no problem with that. But to wear it as like a decorative ornament when you're working.
I don't know. I think it was the vials or, the syringes that code medications come in.
What? That makes it even more strange.
Yeah. Because, you can't draw meds up at the bedside carrying a code, usually. You just kind of twist and push. That's really what code meds are like. As far as my hospital does it. I mean, some of them you have to, draw up. But for the most part, like Eppies, just twist and push.
But how was he allowed to keep them?
I don't know if he had them. I mean, we usually throw them out. But I guess he saved them and wore them. While he was there, he wore them.
Like, was it like a shirt or like
No, it was a necklace.
Dude, I'm telling you, it was a mental health professional. Dude is unhinged.
He's got stuff going on. So one nurse reported her suspicion to management that he was involved in, shady business, deaths. but it was ignored and she never followed up on it. Meanwhile, Niels, let's talk about his personal life a little bit. He got married in 2004, and shortly after, in 2004, his wife gave birth to a daughter. Niels was so overjoyed following her birth, but he needed to return to work. He wanted to continue this same level of excitement. So, on the day he returned to work, he killed a critically ill ICU level patient with a toxic agent. I'm not sure what that toxic agent may have been, but it probably was a cardiac med. Just a side note here, throughout his life, he had struggled with prescription pain med abuse and alcohol abuse. So, he seems impulsive, and he's definitely an apathetic person.
So did he have some kind of medical trauma himself?
Not that I read about.
Because it's just really, I wonder how he got hooked on pain pills.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless he was diverting.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of times it starts off with some kind of injury. I would be really surprised if he, just randomly, hey, I'm going to try this,
On June 22nd, 2005, Niels was finally caught. He was trying to administer the Adrenaline without an order or any indication to do so to another patient, and his colleague saw. A nurse named Renate walked into the patient's room and found Niels standing over the cancer patient. He had lung cancer. The patient's life support was off, and there were 4 vials of Adrenaline in the trash. Renate took a blood sample at some point from the patient and sent it to the lab for screening. The next day, the patient died, and the results came back from the blood work. A lethal level of a cardiac medication was present. The charge nurse for the unit and a physician met to discuss the situation, but they let Niels finish his shift, and during that shift, he killed his final victim.
Wait, hold on. So she took a blood sample.
Yeah.
Was suspicious, walked in, witnessed it for herself. The patient still died. Did they do any intervention to help counteract the Adrenaline or however you say it? Because if not, they just allowed that patient to die.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about that. What I gather, she took a patient, was suspicious, took blood. The patient still ended up dying the next day.
But she should have reported that.
Yeah. So they sent the blood. I don't know if she did report it. They sent the blood and then didn't take any action till the next day when Niels ended up killing his final victim. He was arrested that same summer. During a psych eval in 2019, he was recognized as having a combined personality disorder, including narcissistic, dissocial, and compulsive traits. He was described as having an intense need for recognition and praise, even histrionic at times, and was very thrill-seeking. This doesn't come as a surprise, but he was found to be lacking greatly in empathy. There was no evidence of any remorse for his actions, and he felt no guilt or shame.
It's a sociopath.
In June of 2008, Niels was sentenced to 5 years in prison and an employment ban of 5 years for attempted voluntary manslaughter.
That's it?
So this is for attempted voluntary manslaughter. He got 5 years plus 5 years of employment ban. This was appealed, thankfully, and a higher court was able to reverse the sentences, and he was given 7.5 years and a lifelong employment ban.
Good, thank God.
So, because I don't know, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, 5 years employment ban?
He should have lost his license. I don't know how it works in Germany.
Yeah.
But people have lost their license in the U.S. for a lot less.
So, this started, he was sent to prison. There was a really high suspicion that Niels was responsible for a lot more crimes and murders.
I'm sure.
In 2014, another investigation began into the crimes that occurred at the Delmenhorst Clinic by the district attorney's office. In September of that year, Niels was charged with 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Niels confessed to these crimes and also offered up that he had killed 30 other people too.
Not surprised.
It came to light that Niels had completed 90 injections without an order from a physician. Of these 90 injections, 60 were successfully resuscitated, and of course 30 died at Niels' hand. On February 28th, 2015, Niels was finally sentenced to life in prison. It was believed that Niels did all of this because he was bored and he wanted to be a hero.
What is the saying? Idle hands are the devil's plaything.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
That's his motto. Meanwhile, in 2014, another investigation occurred by police after 200 suspicious deaths were identified, and they're like, okay, we need to do a deep dive here. In November of 2014 until 2017, the investigation team, which was called Cardio with a K, looked closely at the deaths that occurred during his nursing career.
Mm-hmm.
They examined over 200 cases. This was difficult, side note. Some bodies were too decomposed, some of the victims had been cremated, so they just did the best they could. 134 bodies in 67 different cemeteries in Germany, Poland, and Turkey were exhumed and autopsies were completed. The autopsies showed traces of cardiac medication. Police were able to correlate 37 deaths with Niels from December 2002 to 2005 by November 2016. So at this point, Niels is already spending his life in prison, but they are working to show what else he can be charged with. Also, capital punishment is prohibited in Germany, so the death penalty is not something that they can obtain at this point. They just want to see what else this man has done and provide more families with closure. Exactly. By August 28th, 2017, Niels was found responsible for the deaths of 90 patients, including those that he was already convicted of. By November 2017, the total deaths was changed again to 106 patients. Some were still under investigation. And just a side note, I didn't say it before, but the patients that he targeted ranged from 34 years old to 96 years old.
Female, male?
A variation. It varied. Police said that Niels utilized drugs besides Adrenaline, like Sotalol, lidocaine, amiodarone, and calcium chloride. All of these are cardiac meds, and they can cause drastic harm to patients when used improperly. By January 2018, Niels was charged with murdering 97 patients, and prosecution was ready to charge other hospital staff with failure to act as well.
Should. Yes, absolutely. And the hospital administrators as well, I hope.
Niels admitted to 55 of the murders, but he was unsure sometimes of specifics. And so he would say, I have no memory, but I can't rule out a manipulation. To 5 accusations, he denied playing a role. During the trial, there were 32 witnesses presented. 4 medical experts testified, and there was also even a forensic expert in testimony psychology that testified, and they said that there was no indication that Niels would falsely confess. On June 6th, 2019, Niels was sentenced to life in prison, which he was already serving, and he was found guilty to 85 counts of murder and not guilty to 15 counts of murder. In Germany, it is common for courts to parole criminals after 15 years of serving their life sentences, but in some cases, especially one as heinous as this one, the judge can include a notation giving it special severity so that he wouldn't be given this option. German courts also can't do multiple life sentences like we can in other countries like the US. They just don't do it. During the sentencing, the judge expressed regret that they were unable to lift the fog for countless other families who may have suffered loss at the hands of Niels, but would never receive closure. There was anger toward hospital supervision and upper management about not intervening much earlier, despite the prolific nature of Niels' crimes. Despite high mortality rates and suspicion, nothing was ever done until Niels was caught red-handed by colleagues. One of his colleagues who openly testified said that a culture of looking away and keeping your head down shielded Niels.
Yeah, I don't really buy that. And I never been to Germany. But at the end of the day, nurses doesn't care. I don't care what country you're from. You're supposed to be an advocate.
Exactly.
And allowing, like, if they saw a family member abusing the patient, they would absolutely have to say something. Why is it different for another nurse?
Exactly. No, when you're a nurse, top priority, or anyone in the medical field, you're responsible for the patient's safety.
Yeah. And here we are in America, land of the free. Guess what? Your ass is still going to get locked up. I don't care what the culture is.
As for the higher-ups and colleagues that were criticized for not intervening, 7 of them were tried, but they all were acquitted.
What?
Niels tried to appeal, but it was dismissed, and Niels remains in prisons where hopefully he will spend the rest of his days.
He has to.
I don't know. What I was reading was like, he probably will never get parole, and I'm like, what do you mean
better
he will
not
never get parole? They said it's highly likely he'll spend the rest of his life in prison.
Highly likely is not. He will.
I know. I was like, what do you mean?
Germany, you need to stop being so lax.
He's like 45 at this point. He was born in 76.
Killed
86,
like
96.
90 people. What was it? 106
He's
was
like
the grand
48,
total?
I think, if I'm doing my math right, which I don't know if I am. Huh?
106 was the grand total?
No, he killed at least up to, he killed at least
I don't care.
85.
I don't care what he admits to or what. He was linked to 106 deaths.
He can be linked up to 300.
Up to... what? And he will, very likely, he will spend the rest... No, he needs to spend the rest of his life in jail. But linked to 300? I'm someone that has no faith. I don't care what he admits to. He's been linked with 300. He needs to stay in jail.
I agree.
Imagine, there's some high school graduating classes that are 300 students. Imagine.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just happy that they did further investigation and didn't just say, all right, he's in jail. Like, it's not going to happen anymore. When he was initially
But why?
sent.
But and I understand closure, but why is there even the remote possibility that he'd be able to get sprung?
Anyway, that's my story.
Happy 4th of July. And happy 5th of July to our littlest.
It's Mom's birthday.
Yes, our cutest listener.
My cutest little lady listener.
Who's knocked out.
Zonked.
She did not bring Lily. Is there anything you want to say?
Repeat what she said. I don't know if it'll have caught.
Believe the good in people. But
look for the good in people, but always realize that there are some people that are not good.
Yeah.
that's a good message.
That is, Mom. Good job, Mom. All right, everyone. We're going to log out. Right, Dee? We're going to call it. The time is 1924. That's 7:24 for those of you who do not use military time.
Yes, and happy 4th of July if you're here in America.
Happy 4th of July if you're here in America.
The bald eagles are screaming. You gotta keep... Is that a cat or an eagle?
It's an eagle.
We're tired and we're gonna
Do your best eagle impersonation. I guess that, but launch it out there. Is that an eagle, Mom? Or a cat? That's an eagle. Hi, everyone. We're going to call it
and happy birthday, early birthday to Mom.
Bird Day.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Office reference.
We love you, Mom.
Trademark.
Trademark.
Trademark. TMI.
No one write a book called Mr. Dopamine will Miss Serotonin. It's ours.
I was gonna say something, but you're gonna edit it out.
What?
I can't say it.
What are you gonna write? Or say?
I don't know.
No, we really need to make a book called that. And about that. That'd win millions of dollars.
Take it out of the podcast.
Mr. Dopamine and
Miss Serotonin. She's unmarried.
She's married.
Huh?
Miss Prozac.
Miss Prozac. We're just talking about neurotransmitters.
Did you know Tony Soprano was on Prozac?
When? How? Why would I ever know about that?
Didn't you watch The Sopranos?
Or care about that?
It's also on Lithium.
The character?
Fictional character, yes.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just watched it.
What, Mom?
He was more off without his meds.
Most people are.
Yeah.
All right, anyone?
Oh, wait. Anyone? Anyone? Lost
everyone.
takers?
Anyone else?
That's it. Mom,
Sorry,
that's
everyone.
it. That's all he wanted to say.
Good night, everybody. Stay well.
Grandma Gabba.
Oh my god. Grammy Gabby.
Grammy Gabby. All right, everyone. I hope you have a lovely week, rest of your week. Bask in the sunshine. If you have a garden, don't let my basil dry right out.
Nanny norepinephrine.
Nanny norepinephrine. That's a good one. Oh. What other ones are there? Dopamine, serotonin, GABA, norepi. What else, Dee? Come on, Dee. Come on. You work with that stuff.
Let me Google.
Yeah, Google it.
Insulin.
Insulin.
Insulin. It is a hormone type.
That is true, Mom. That's big brain thinking.
Estrogen.
Acetylcholine.
Acetylcholine.
Glutamate.
Anti-acetylcholine.
Histamine. Wow, I'm so dumb. Oxytocin.
Oh yeah, oxytocin.
Hydrogen peroxide.
And water.
Because we have 75% in the body is water, right?
Yes. Don't steal our idea.
Okay.
I know what you all are thinking.
Oh.
This is such a $1 million idea. Don't steal
I gotta
it
get
from
home
us.
before the fireworks.
They're tonight?
Yeah, but I don't want Jack to be anxious.
All right, everyone. Bye. Bye. See you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.